Thanks for joining us. This is the news at 7 on NTA International. I'm Ruth Aguele. Let's bring you the headlines. World Health Organization expresses shock over imbalanced distribution of COVID-19 vaccines. ECOWAS Parliament converses women empowerment based on equity and inclusion in all sectors. And world leaders continue to pay tributes to the Duke of Edinburgh. The World Health Organization says there is a shocking imbalance in the global distribution of vaccines. The UN Health Agency chief said this while addressing newsmen in Geneva, Switzerland. Aguele Brooksland Sunday reports that the agency is calling on countries to support the COVAX facility.
COVAX facility is a WHO-led initiative aimed at ensuring equal access to COVID-19 vaccines by various countries. WHO Africa Regional Office had reported that Africa accounts for less than 2% of the vaccines administered globally so far, as many African countries have barely moved beyond the starting line. Addressing the news conference, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said it is 100 days since WHO issued a call for vaccinations to begin in all countries, adding that 26 out of the 200 countries are yet to begin the process.
More than 700 million vaccine doses have been administered globally, but over 87% have gone to high-income or upper-middle-income countries, while low-income countries have received just 0.2%. On average, in high-income countries, almost 1 in 4 people has received a vaccine. In low-income countries, it's 1 in more than 500. Let me repeat that. 1 in 4 versus 1 in 500.
The WHO chief said bilateral arrangements to deliver COVID-19 vaccines run the risk of fanning the flames of vaccines inequality, which could derail efforts to contain the pandemic on the continent amid threats posed by a third wave of infections. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
On the global scene, more news from there. Tributes have continued to pour in for the Duke of Edinburgh, who died at the age of 99, beginning with UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who says Prince Philip earned affection. The funeral of the Duke of Edinburgh has been scheduled for next week, Saturday, 17th April 2021, which will be televised with national silence at 3 p.m. Let's hear more from Justin Bemonye.
Tributes for Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, and Queen Elizabeth II's husband have poured in from around the world for a figure who earned the affection of generations, as UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said. Flags were hoisted at half-mast on royal and government buildings, and a notice announcing his death was pinned to the gates of Buckingham Palace on Friday. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said outside 10 Downing Street that we give thanks as a nation and a kingdom for the extraordinary life and work of Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Former Prime Minister Tony Blair said that Duke will naturally be most recognized as a remarkable and steadfast support to the Queen over so many years. However, he should also be remembered and celebrated in his own right as a man of foresight, determination and courage. Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin led the international reaction, adding that our thoughts and prayers are with Queen Elizabeth and the people of the United Kingdom at this time. Australia's Prime Minister Scott Morrison ordered flags to be flown at half-mast in his country after the passing of the Duke, who he said embodied a generation that we will never see again. The leader of the Commonwealth nation said the Commonwealth family joins together in sorrow and thanksgiving for the loss and life of Prince Philip. God bless from all here in Australia. He lived a long life of service to his country. U.S. President Joe Biden paid tribute to the Duke as a selfless servant of Britain and its people. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi picked out his armed service background. He had a distinguished career in the military and was at the forefront of many community service initiatives. May his soul rest in peace, he said. Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan said Britain has lost a wise elder who was imbibed with a unique spirit of public service. His role in promoting Pakistan-UK relations will always be remembered. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern focused on his charity work. Prince Philip will be fondly remembered for the encouragement he gave to so many young New Zealanders through the Duke of Edinburgh's Hillary Award. In over 50 years of the award in New Zealand, thousands of young people have completed life-changing challenges through the program, she said. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said she was saddened to hear of the passing of His Royal Highness Prince Philip. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said, "The death of Prince Philip fills me with great sorrow. His friendship to Germany, his straightforwardness and his sense of duty will not be forgotten." French President Emmanuel Macron paid a tribute to the exemplary life of the Duke. Russian President Vladimir Putin praised the Duke and wished the Queen courage and mental fortitude in the face of a grievous and irreparable loss. A statement from the Kremlin cited Putin as saying he rightfully enjoyed respect among the British and internationally. Stephanie Dujarric, a spokesman for United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, said in a statement that the UN chief is saddened at the passing of Prince Philip and extends condolences to Queen Elizabeth II and the British people. And from Africa, leaders have described Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, who died on Friday at the age of 99, as a great man and a remarkable public figure who lived an extraordinary life. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta described Prince Philip as a great man who worked for a peaceful coexistence of the human race. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa expresses deep condolences to Queen Elizabeth and the royal family, saying Prince Philip was the longest-serving consort in the history of the British monarchy. Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan conveyed her condolences on social media and said they stood with the royal family in this difficult time. And Cameroonian President Paul Biya said Prince Philip embodied the monarchy and contributed to the success of Queen Elizabeth's reign. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Leveraging on the gains of the just concluded ECOWAS Parliament extraordinary session in Freetown, Sierra Leone, the regional legislature is pushing the case for women empowerment further towards equity and inclusion in all sectors of society. A meeting of ECOWAS Parliament Joint Committee on Social Affairs, Gender and the Promotion of Women, Education, Science and Culture and Health in Monrovia, Liberia will articulate the role of women in the development of West Africa vis-à-vis the need for their participation in leadership to achieve regional integration, peace, security, good governance and socio-economic development. Speaker Sidi Mohamed Tunis will lead members of parliament from across West Africa to the delocalized meeting scheduled for 13th to 17th April 2021, the outcome of which will be presented to plenary for further legislative action. A five-man committee comprising critical agencies has been set up to look into irregularities in the payment of doctors' salaries, while the National Officers Committee of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has been mandated to urgently consult with Executive Council on concrete resolutions reached from the conciliation meeting between the FG and representatives of the group with a view to calling off the ongoing strike. Charles Alpha reports.
On 31st of last month, representatives of the federal government met with the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors with the hope of resolving their demands, but that was not to be, as the doctors proceeded on the strike action despite motion put in place by the federal government to tackle their demands. That meeting continued last night between the parties with an addendum to the memorandum of action reached in March. The meeting acknowledged that payments of house officers met some irregularities in some centers, and a valid list be produced by a five-man committee within 72 hours to IPPIS through the Federal Ministry of Health. on salary shortfall between 2014 and 2016. The parties agreed that NAD and the Committee of Chief Medical Directors to immediately submit lists of affected institutions and personnel for it to be captured in the supplementary budget.
In view of all these understandings, the meeting asked NAD National Officers Committee (NOC) to consult urgently with the Executive Council with a view to giving this consultation process a chance to endorse strategies for the care of our patients. By calling on this strike,
I believe that the progress that has been made so far will be taking logical contribution as to make those on strike go back to work.
Me and the National Officers Committee will take this back to our members with the hope of calling off the strike tomorrow.
In Abuja, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Let's look at security. President Muhammadu Buhari has again reiterated his resolve in ensuring peace returns to Anambra State and the Southeast in general. Chief of Defence Staff General Lucky Irabo stated this when he paid a courtesy visit to Governor Willie Obiano at Aguele. Idem Kalu has details.
The visit was to reassure the people of the state that security agencies in the country are battle ready for all criminal elements and activities in and around the state, as there is no hiding place for them.
I like to warn very sternly every criminal that is hibernating within the space of Anambra and of course the larger Nigeria to find a different space entirely. We will go after them and ensure that our people live in peace and harmony.
Governor Obiano, while receiving the Chief of Defence Staff, noted that the visit was on the directive of President Muhammadu Buhari to tackle security challenges in the state, maintaining that security of lives and property remains his top priority.
I want to tell the Anambra that it is not going to be business as usual for the criminals that are here. We're going to deal with them ruthlessly. The criminal find a way out of Nigeria because that's the point that is being made.
Criminals are therefore advised to change or face the full wrath of the law. From Aguele, Ndem Kalu, NTA News.
To protect local industries and stem the smuggling of illegal arms into the country, the National Border Drill has intensified operations to strengthen security at the nation's land borders. Well, to this end, the Sector 4 unit of the National Border Drill operations covering Northwest has within 2 weeks intercepted smuggled contraband along Katsina axis with duty-paid value of about 200 million naira. Shehu Adamu reports.
The National Border Drill operations, which started in the year 2019 and being coordinated by the Office of the National Security Advisor, is to, among others, strengthen security at the nation's land borders, as well as complement efforts in the fight against smuggling activities to stimulate the country's economy. To achieve this, therefore, the Sector 4 unit of the drill has, within the last 2 weeks, intercepted smuggled 323 bags of foreign rice of 50 kilograms each, 10,850 liters of PMS, and 90 sacks of foreign snuff containing 90,000 pieces. Other contraband intercepted include 59 bales of used clothing of 100 kilograms each and 3 used vehicles, including an ambulance conveying smuggled foreign rice with fake registration number of the Federal Ministry of Health. Coordinator of the Sector 4 unit of the drill, Comptroller Aliyu Alhaji Muhammad, said all the seizures were made along the illegal routes.
The pressure is too much on them, so I'm going to give them more and more pressure because the festivity time is coming. That is fasting time. After they start looking for rice for Salah or clothes for Salah, we are not going to allow it. Or anybody who wants to bring it, let him follow the normal procedures.
At the time of addressing newsmen on these achievements, the Strike Force unit of the drill arrived with another seized contraband comprising foreign rice and spaghetti intercepted along Kinzu illegal route in Jibia local government area of Katsina State. The duty-paid value of the contraband was not ascertained at press time. Comptroller Aliyu Alhaji Mohammed therefore warned smugglers that the drill is leaving no stone unturned in the fight against smuggling activities until the objectives of the national border drill are fully achieved. In Katsina, Shehu Adamu, NTA News.
All right, let's go on a short break. We're back. Stay tuned.
Hey, beautiful, your eyes, your smile are all begging me to take you home tonight.
Now reading page 3.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G. Entel. Live more.
Thanks for being with us. More than 2,000 passengers are expected to be accommodated at the Ebute Metta mega station of the Lagos-Ibadan rail line. Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amici, on a monthly inspection tour, called for speedy completion of the stations. Oina Kaluoka reports.
The 157-kilometer double-track Lagos-Ibadan rail line has 10 stations located in the 3 states of Lagos, Ogun and Oyo. All the 3 stations are modern, but the state-of-the-art mega station in Ebute Metta has been described as magnificent, with capacity to take more than 2,000 passengers at the waiting hall at a time. All facilities are ready for use. At the inspection tour, Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amici was impressed with the level of work.
This is work here. No, it's not. See, keep on. Yeah, it's not working. Why is not? Where is it? Let me ask you. Are you sure the chillers are going to? When? By the time we came here last, by now it was ready. If the agreement with the president were over, by now we have commissioned this. By now, what I agreed with the president was to come here and commission this month of April.
Work at the Apapa Port Station is at advanced stage as the minister called on contractors to speed up completion. Uyina Kaluoka, NTA News.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan has stressed the need for the protection of facilities provided by the government to ensure prudence in resource management. He made this known while inaugurating the newly rehabilitated Evan Enwerim Road in Owerri. Bright Opucho has more to tell us.
Evan Road, formerly known as Akachi Road, was renamed by Governor Hope Uzodimma in appreciation of the contributions of Chief Enwerem as one of the founding fathers of Imo State. Senate President Ahmed Lawan, while inaugurating the road, commended Governor Uzodimma for his dedication to the transformation of the state through infrastructural development. He further urges the people to continue to support government development agenda.
Both the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari's leadership and Imo State under the leadership of Senator Hope Uzodimma receive far less than the previous administrations, and yet they do far more than the previous administration.
Governor Hope Uzodimma assures that despite distractions being experienced, the government will remain focused in its determination at making the welfare of the people a top priority.
Our destination is to make Imo State a better place for all residents, while providing basic amenities and services, as well as deepening democracy generally. We are more than ever resolved to implement faithfully our program of rehabilitation, reconstruction, and recovery.
The Chief Ivan Enwerem Road is one of the projects completed by the Imo State government within 1 year in office in Owerri. Bright Ibuchu, NTA News.
The House of Representatives says the ongoing constitution review process is an opportunity to enhance the status of the third tier of government. The Deputy Speaker, Ahmed Idris Wasi, says this will help address the challenge of insecurity. Lami Ali reports that he was speaking at a training for council chairmen and councillors.
Infrastructure deficit is the root of the low level of socio-economic activities at the grassroots, which give rise to some of the challenges gradually spreading to urban centers. Going by the saying that a chain is as strong as its weakest points, the Deputy Speaker stressed that there has to be a deliberate collective effort to get the local government system working again.
Before the end of this regime, we should deliver on the constitutional amendment a very vibrant, workable local government system that will be truly third tier of government. Not a third tier that when you do federation account allocation, some few persons will go and sit down somewhere in the small room, did all the cuttings, and then send out the peanuts. Meanwhile, the bulk of the problem, be it infrastructure, be it the security, is there at the grassroots.
House Minority Leader Ndudi Elumelu said, to be a true representative of the people, empathy is essential, and that can only be achieved with sound knowledge of affairs.
At the end of this exercise, they will be well-groomed, well-informed, and they will be empathic, and also see themselves as humble representatives that will go back and showcase all that they have learned here and put them into good use.
Other speakers at the training emphasized that all tiers of government must be accountable to citizens by adhering to rule of law. Lami Ali, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari extends heartfelt condolences to Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State and members of his family on the passing of their beloved mother and grandmother, Hajia Fatima Mulum Yuram. The president praised for the peaceful repose of the soul of Hajia Yuram, described as an embodiment of peace and motherhood, who lived a remarkable life of humility until she passed on at the age of 102. President Buhari urges the family, members and all the well-wishers to treasure Hajia Yuram's memory by upholding the strong bond of kindness and unity within the family and community. Lere Emirate Council in Kaduna State has announced the death of Emir of Lere, Brigadier General Garba Mohammed. Aged 78, the late Emir died after a brief illness. He was former military governor of Old Sokoto State. He remains the 13th Emir of Lere and have since been buried in his hometown in Kaduna State. And let's look at sports now. On the 20th National Sports Festival, Tamara Aguele is standing by from Benin to bring us details.
Welcome to Edo 2020 Sports Update. I am Tamara Aguele. We begin with basketball, where Lagos State are one step away from winning gold after they defeated Team Edo 57 to 45 points in the women's semi-final. In the men's round-robin match, Kwara lost to Kano 66 to 94 points. In beach volleyball, Team Rivers are up against Team Imo in the men's final scheduled for Sunday, April 11. Rivers outplayed Kaduna 2-1 in the second semi-final, while Edo lost to Imo in the first semi-final. The last group game in the women's category will see Gombe take on Kaduna. Finally, to traditional sports, the excitement that welcomes traditional sports is still being talked about in the National Sports Festival, as Kano won 2 gold medals in Kokowa. Team Bauchi won their first gold medal in Langa Kawoshi. And that's Edo 2020 Sports Updates. Do stay tuned on the NTA for more updates. I am Tamara Aguele.
Thank you, Tamara. Let's bring you the weather prospect for tomorrow. And we're done with the news. Thank you very much for your company. But don't forget, NTA is still leading the campaign against rape and rapists. You can be a part of it. I'm Ruth. Aguele. Bye.